This is a presentation to students at the Kinkaid School who wish to connect their computers or other personal electronic devices to the Kinkaid Wireless network. My name is Mr. Howe. We're going to start off by talking about a number of things, some of which are on the website that probably brought you here, but it's important that we have you listen to them as well as read them, because in the past many students have sort of glanced at a form and signed it without really knowing what was going on, and then when they got in trouble later they said, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know. At this point you have no excuse. You've had every chance to see and hear this. Partway through the presentation, you will be given a word that you need to put on the website to recognize that you have actually watched this video, and you need to wait for the entire video to conclude to get a magic number that you will also have to put into the website to make sure that you sat through the whole thing. And so here we go. The first thing you're going to need to make sure of is that your computer is up to date and cleaned up. For a Macintosh, that means that you need to run software updates, and several times perhaps, until it says that all the software updates are done. This is something you should be doing about once a week anyway. You don't necessarily need to move on to the next system upgrade. You just need to make sure your system updates are completed. For a Windows machine, this means that you have to do all of your service packs, and you need to make sure that you have some kind of antivirus software. It's not good enough for you to say, oh, well, my Uncle Louis gave me antivirus software 3 years ago. It hasn't touched the internet since, but I'm sure it's good. It needs to be the kind of antivirus software that checks on the internet now and then for updates in case new viruses come out, so it knows to recognize the new ones. And again, for the Mac side, you don't have to buy, say, Mountain Lion or Snow Leopard or whatever. Whatever you've got is probably fine as long as you do your software updates. And the same goes if you're using a phone. The next issue is piracy. We feel very strongly here at Kinkaid that piracy is wrong. We know that there's a lot of controversy on the web about, is it okay to download things for free? Should things be free, and so forth? That's beside the point. If you want to use our network, you got to follow our rules. And our rules are you do not pirate. That means that you can't go downloading music or movies off of websites that are not basically legitimate websites. Now, there are some legitimate places that you can go. You can go to iTunes and buy music there. You can go to Amazon. You can buy music there. There are other places like that as well. And there are places that you can stream software. You can download music and play it as you're going through a service like, say, Pandora or Rhapsody. These are ones that don't actually put a copy of the song on your computer. They just play it as you go, and then the song is gone. These are more like radio than downloading in some ways. And there's a similar thing going on with YouTube. Bottom line, though, is you really shouldn't be downloading something like a movie that's still out in the theaters, or even a recent movie, and where you're only paying like 27 cents. Odds are very good that that's an illegitimate site. If you have a question, come talk to one of us. We'll be glad to give you a ruling on it before you get in trouble. The other thing that you have to be aware of is that there is something called BitTorrent, which is not an acceptable thing on campus at all. No program that runs BitTorrent, and this includes things like LimeWire and Kazaa and, well, BitTorrent. None of those are allowed on the Kinkaid web. And if you do have them running, we'll be able to detect it if you have it running. These are only used for piracy, really. I mean, there are some legitimate sources out there in the business world, but it's highly unlikely that teenagers are going to be using it for anything legitimate like that. Is that if we see it running on your network, you're going to get kicked off and you're going to be in trouble. We have to trust you not to do this. Now, the thing about this is we can't stop you from doing it at home. We understand that you're going to have your own behavior at home. We do not endorse you doing it at home. We recommend that you not use those software services at all. But if you do it at home, you got to make sure it's off before you come to school. If you're in the middle of a download or an upload and you turn off your computer and forget and walk on campus and open your computer up and it tries to finish up, you're still in trouble. So don't do it, and be really careful, but preferably don't do it. The next thing is iTunes. iTunes has a means of sharing music around that is a legitimate streaming type thing, but we don't allow it on campus. And the reason for this is because it goes everywhere. Anytime anybody on campus opens up iTunes, if you're sharing your music, it's going to show up on their list. That goes for the middle school students, that goes for the fourth graders, it goes for the second graders, it goes for the first graders, the kindergartners, the pre-kindergartners, Mr. Loach, Mr. North, everybody. So, we don't want you doing that. And the reason for this is because teenagers listen to nasty, nasty music. It's not like that wholesome stuff like Aerosmith and Ozzy Osbourne we listened to when I was a kid. No, you listen to song titles that just songs with song titles sometimes that just are inappropriate for these younger viewers. And it's cute and all when you see a little kid saying, "Oh, I want to sing like Rihanna," but then out of her mouth comes stuff about how much she enjoys rough bondage sex, and it just makes you want to puke. Okay, the next thing, the 4 core values: respect, responsibility, honesty, and kindness. These still are valid whether you're in the real world or the virtual world, so we expect you to follow them. You got to be nice to each other, okay? No getting on Facebook and being mean to somebody on Facebook, or hazing, or cyberbullying is what we'd call it. You might be calling creating extra drama. If you're going to be on high school memes, keep it nice. Don't be mean to each other, okay? Be yourself, whether you're online or whether you're offline, whether you think you're anonymous or not. You're still you, okay? Next thing is, having a laptop or phone or whatever device that you're using on campus is a privilege, and it's one that some students abuse. Please make good choices about how you use your computers on campus. If you're in class and the teacher is teaching, you should not be checking your Facebook. You should not be playing Angry Birds or Snake or Minesweeper or any of that stuff. If you're in class, you should be doing things in class-wise, so don't go and abuse the opportunity. The problem is that teachers generally know when you're doing it, and you're going to get told that you can't use it in that class, and it's perfectly within the teacher's right to tell you not to use the computer. In fact, if you do it too much, or if your class is doing it a bunch, the teacher might even tell everybody that they can't use their computer, and that's not going to be good for you, and may not be good for other people who really are trying to legitimately use their computers appropriately, and that's not fair to them. So please be thoughtful. Next thing, search and seizure. I mentioned this very briefly is because by signing up to be on our network, you are agreeing that if we do need to check your computer, that we can take your computer and look at its contents. This is primarily for situations like we've been told that someone's downloading Harry Potter and we've traced it down to your computer. We can take your computer and check to see what really is going on. If you have a problem with this, we understand. Don't join our network. But if you're going to join our network, this is the price for that. We're not going to do it lightly. The last thing that we would have is, and it's hard to see on the screen here, but this is supposed to look like one of the power chargers, is to please put your name on your stuff. Put it on your devices. Put it on your power cords. It doesn't have to be your name. We know that high school students don't like putting their names on things sometimes, but put stickers on it. Put some sort of identifying mark. It has 2 effects. One is it makes it a lot easier for us to find it if I'm not having to have someone come up to me and say, "Hey, I'm looking for my charger. It's white and squarish." If it says, "Oh, it's got a picture of a bunny rabbit and a machine gun," then I'm going to be having a much easier time to find it. And it's also a lot less likely that someone else is going to take the charger that's got the bunny rabbit with a machine gun on it and think that it's theirs. So, there are 4 things you need to do to get your computer or device onto the Kinkaid network. One of them is watching this video and filling out the form. There's another form for turning in your MAC address for the computer. This is the technical part that actually allows us to get it on. The other one is that you need to fill out a form and get your parents to sign it, and you need to sign it as well and read it, of course, and turn that into the upper school office. And the 4th thing is what I mentioned at the beginning, which is making sure that your computer is up to date and virus free. And this is basically kind of a public health issue for us. Is we want to make sure that you've got it so that it's a safe environment for everybody and we're not going to be sharing viruses with each other. That's it. Thank you very much.